In this episode, chest crossovers or bench press.
The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Testicles. Welcome everyone to episode 559. Ooh, that little squeak there. 59 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular Swolecast, beardcast, and broadcast in the realm, because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. No doubt. It is a wonderful, wonderful Thursday, and Papa Swolio is lit like a tit. My nipples are hard fucking diamonds. No joke, diamonds. Thank you so much for joining me for 559 today. We're talking crossovers and bench press, and we'll get into that in a moment. But first, let's get into the question of the day, and this is from Facebook, from Javi Esparza, and he asks, Papa Swolio, when I work out my arms independently, I'm able to squeeze out 2 more reps with my left arm. How do I make my right arm catch up? You got a case of the gooch arm. A case of the gooch arm, and it's very serious. But we can solve this. Most of you are going to have this problem. And right now, drop in the comments below if you have a similar issue. If you have a dominant leg or a dominant arm or a dominant eye, we all do. Like if you're a baseball player, there's a reason why you're a righty over being a lefty, because one eye is going to be dominant. You're going to see the ball better. You're going to move better. You're going to write with your right hand or your left hand. You're going to kick or jump off with your right leg versus your left leg. We all have a dominant side. And when it comes to strength, or the perception of strength, is not only are you going to have a certain level of muscular development when you use one arm more than the other, but that coordination on that side, the coordination with that musculature on the left or the right side, is going to allow for that musculature to increase hypertrophy-wise. So if it's going to get bigger or it's going to get stronger, because a lot of what strength is coordination. And if you have better balance, and when I say balance, I mean the firing of the brain and the nervous tissue with the actual muscle cells, you are going to increase strength. And that's what happens when you first start training. Your strength increases rapidly because of that coordination, more so than actual physical muscle size and muscle growth. That's why people get stronger really quickly, but they don't gain muscle. That takes months and years and years. So how can we get one arm to be stronger? Because right now, you're saying when you work out your arms independently, you're able to squeeze out 2 more reps. So you're talking about strength or endurance rather than size. I have a feeling you're referring to size too, so I'll talk about it with that respect as well. To get your right arm to catch up, knowing that, giving that framework already, to get one side to catch up, you could do a couple things. You can work that arm more, do some more sets to increase the strength and overload on that side. So your right arm to catch up, do a set or 2 extra on that right side. Do some more isolation exercises where you're using your left arm as a support for force reps and negatives. I posted something on my Instagram feed a couple days ago about doing one-arm preacher curls. I love that because the other arm is there to assist, and you can isolate the arm. Concentration curls are fantastic for that. So do some extra sets, do some extra repetitions, do some negatives, overload that right arm more, and understand that it's not going to happen in a week or 2. It's because you've chronically had this imbalance based on your dominant side for your entire life. So it's going to take a while, but you can build up size on one side. You can build up coordination on one side. You just have to focus on training that side more, or ignore the other side for a little bit, train it much less frequently, much less volume, much less for the intensity, because don't forget, both arms are getting work when you train back and so forth. So good question, Javi. Thank you so much for asking. And if you want your question answered right here on the Daily Swole, make sure you ask your question in the comments right now with the hashtag AskPapaSwolio, and then the gain train will come fucking barreling through your town, and I'll drop those knowledge nukes right on your face. But make sure you get to your fallout shelter, so you don't want to get those burns are nasty. If I'm dropping nukes and you are just exposed, that's going to be funky. So be careful. Be careful. Hide the cats, hide the dogs, hide the kiddos, because Papa Swolio is getting yoked. And before we get into the rest of the episode, I want to thank our sponsors for episode 559, Everest and K2, flexing on you every day. of the fucking year. 559. We're almost out of the 550s, never to be seen again. So that's super exciting. And the launch of Swolenormous X has been barreling, has been crushing, and I've been pounding content. I just created another masterclass, so that's going to be released this week. I'm also finishing up the balance pack and also some other training videos, and I'm so stoked to announce that and to release that to the Swolenormous X community. So if you're not a part of Swolenormous X, here is your chance to win one free month, an entire month, unlimited to my 90-day dash program, all my master classes, lesson packs, trainings, everything in the private Swolenormous X family. 1 month. All you got to do is drop an awesome comment, tag a friend, and use the hashtag Daily Swole Club. So if you're joining the Daily Swole Club, comment, tag a friend, and use the hashtag Daily Swole Club for a chance to win 1 month to Swolenormous X. And that is an astounding offer. So you can get started with your training program immediately upon joining the family. And everyone else, just go to swolenormousx.com if you're interested in hooking into all the great things behind the scenes that you won't find anywhere else on any of my platforms. So that is fucking awesome. And it's been doing great. So Daily Swole Club for a chance to win a free month, or you can just go to swolenormousx.com to check it out. Now, let's get on with crossovers or bench press. Dun, dun, dun. And this is interesting because there is a crossover pack, a crossover lesson pack in Swolenormous X. And this question just reminded me how important that lesson pack was to create for the Swolenormous X community, because there's a lot of confusion, I think, with crossovers and with bench press, because bench press is the big Mac Daddy, right? They've both been around for a long time. You know, Arnold's, they used to do crossovers and such, but it's much more prevalent now with cables and all these different machines, and the industry has exploded over the past several decades. But the bench press is just a standard. You know, people have been pushing shit since human beings existed, pushing rocks, pushing things off themselves. You know, push, push, push. A bench press is really just a nice balanced way to do a pushing movement. And that's where it comes into what is really necessary to develop chest. What is necessary to develop muscles? Do you need complicated shit, or do you need some basic shit? And I'm a huge fan and proponent of simple is better. Keep it basic, keep it simple, and crush, because I think most of you listening don't train the basics well enough, hard enough. You're looking for fancy fucking shit. I had someone ask on Instagram yesterday, the day before, about blood flow restriction, and is that a good approach to training? Who the fuck cares about blood flow restriction? Maybe if you're in like a medical situation, in a hospital or physical therapy, or you're an elite athlete, but for the average person, fuck, you don't need these training gimmicks. And I'm not saying that the science doesn't exist for it or doesn't show some improvements, but how massive is the improvement? Like marginal? Just because a scientific controlled, super detailed study, super specific study might show some improvements, it's like, fuck, you don't need this to go to the gym and to train and to build muscle. You don't need that to do yoga and to increase mobility and wellness. You don't need that shit. Maybe once you get to a higher level, you can start playing around with it, but so many of you are thinking such at the top of the pyramid without even building the fucking base level. So that's my take on the variety that's present in all of fitness. And it doesn't have to be that complicated. It doesn't have to be that fucking, it doesn't have to be that extreme. But when it comes to crossovers or bench press, this is an interesting thing because they're two different movements. They're similar, but they're different. One is more of an isolation, being the crossover, and one of them is more compound, which means you're using multiple joints. The crossover does use multiple joints. However, those multiple joints are used more isometrically as stabilizers. So when you're doing a crossover, your elbows are involved, but they're not. They're more of like an isometric positioning where the elbows are, holding true the arm position rather than flexing. You're not doing a bicep curl when you're doing a crossover. Whereas with a bench press, you're using the deltoids big time, you're using the chest big time, you're also using the triceps big time. And of course, you can make the argument, hey, fam, when you're doing any kind of exercise, you're using hundreds of muscles. using so many different muscles because of stabilizers and isometrics and things tensing. Like when you're doing a bench press, your legs are tensing. Like you're not sleeping at the wheel on any body part. But the crossover is a pulling, pinching together movement, like you're pulling your hands together, whereas the bench press is a pushing movement. So the dynamics and the integration between the different muscle groups that are working with both of those exercises make those two things fantastic. So I love doing flies, either dumbbell flies or crossovers. And usually I'll do one or the other. One workout I'll do crossovers if it's available, because most of you know you have one crossover machine, maybe two at the gym, and there's usually someone doing a curl or a tricep extension. Sometimes it's hard to find a crossover that's completely open. So I like doing pinch presses. I like doing dumbbell flies. I love doing crossovers, and I love doing a pressing movement, whether it's a reverse bench, whether it's an incline dumbbell. And I love dumbbells more than barbell. I have a real respect for simplicity, but that does not mean I don't add variety. But in an individual workout, I like to pick one or two things and crush. I love having a fly movement, a pulling together movement. I love having a pressing movement. And then I love having some kind of high rep finisher of the sort. So it might be more of a pressing day, or it might be more of a fly type day. But I encourage all of you to integrate both with great detail. And if you've done my 90-day dash program, you're familiar with the pinch press. If you're in Swolenormous X, which most likely is how you are accessing the 90-day dash program, you're also accessing the chest crossover pack. So you're playing around with all those variations that I put in there for the different types of crossovers. And there's many different types, things that you haven't even thought of. It's not just pulling your hands together. There's different angles, there's different styles, there's different points of tension, there's different isometric things you can do. And that is very important when you're putting together a program. Not so much how many different exercises you're doing, but how are you executing those ones that you are doing? Because in each individual exercise, as much variety as there is out there, you can break down each one and do a series of different types of tempos, rep speeds, different points of contraction, different isometric holds. There's so much variety, but I recommend both. They're fantastic. As long as your form is great, you should be doing both. And of course, if you don't feel your chest when you're doing a bench press or crossover, you don't feel your chest that much, it's because you have compensations and you need to go back to the drawing board and get your yoga on. So that is really the meat and potatoes. Both of those are meat and potatoes of chest training, and I love both. You just have to stick to the basics and absolutely crush them. If you want your question answered right here on the Daily Swole, make sure you ask it right now in the comments below using the hashtag AskPapaSwolio. And I want to know, the question of the day is, do you, watching on Facebook or YouTube, do you do crossovers or bench press? Do you do both, or do you prefer one over the other, and why? So drop that in the comments right now. And remember, if you want a chance to automatically be entered to win a free month of Swolenormous X, drop a comment below with a tag with one of your friends. So tag a friend with the hashtag Daily Swole Club for a chance to win 1 month access to Swolenormous X, or you can just head on over there to swolenormousx.com and access all my programs, lesson packs, trainings, master classes immediately right now today, swolenormousx.com. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 559 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular swolecast, beardcast, and broadcast in the fucking realm. Because when I flex, you flex, we all flex biceps. And I'm about to go get large and in charge myself. It's pump time, and it's Thursday. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow for Flex Friday, episode 560. Peace, McGeese. Deuce, Magoose. Catch it tomorrow. Sweet and salty. Peace out. See you, fam.